Welcome to 21st Sports recap and reaction for Game 4 of the NLDS between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Mets, played October 13th, 2015. We're going to go over every at-bat and the stats and give our breakdown and analysis. So heading into this game, the Mets were up 2-1 with the chance to win this series at home. The Dodgers, facing elimination, had other ideas as they were looking to force a Game 5. And on the mound for New York, Steven Maty. And on the mound for the Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw 0 for 5 in his last 5 postseason starts. And here he was trying to get his first postseason win, facing elimination. But starting things off in the top of the first, Maty would set the side down in order as he struck out Hernandez. Kendrick flew out, and Gonzalez grounded out. So out to the bottom of the first, Granderson would line out. Kershaw walked right. Murphy then flew out, and Cespedes grounded out on a fielder's choice. So now in the top of the second, Maty would get Turner to ground out. Seager walked. Puig would pop out, and Ellis would fly out. So in the bottom of the second, Kershaw would set down on the side in order as Denard flew out, and Duda and Flores both struck out. So now it's the top of the third. Royano would strike out to lead off the inning. Kershaw then got a single. So Kershaw got on base. Hernandez would ground into a fielder's choice. Kershaw out at second. Hernandez on first. Kendrick would hit a single, and now it was runners on the corners as Gonzalez came to the plate, and Adrian Gonzalez hit a bloop hit that scored Hernandez, and was now 1-0 Dodgers over the Mets. Justin Turner then stepped in the box, and Turner hit a double that brought in both Kendrick and Gonzalez, and it was now 3-0 Dodgers over the Metropolitans. Seager would ground out, and that would do it for the top half of the third, but not after the Dodgers had put 3 runs on the scoreboard to take the lead 3-0. So now in the bottom of the third, Kershaw would sit down the Mets in order as he got Lagares to foul out. Maty lined out, and Granderson grounded out. So now in the top of the fourth, Puig would fly out. Ellis then got a single. Royano would strike out, and Kershaw grounded out. So now to the bottom of the fourth, Kershaw would get right to ground out. Then Daniel Murphy went deep to right, 385 feet over the right field wall for a solo shot. And it was now 3-1 as the Mets had put their first run on the scoreboard. So it was a 2-run game now. Cespedes would ground out. Denard would strike out, and that would do it for the fourth. But not after the Mets had put their first run on the board. So now in the top of the fifth, Hernandez hit a leadoff single. Kendrick would fly out. Gonzalez grounded out, and Hernandez was out at second. Turner then was intentionally walked, and Seager struck out. So now at the bottom of the fifth, Kershaw struck out Duda and Flores. Lagares would hit a single. Kadire would then pinch hit for Maty as he'd be done for the day. And now Kadire would strike out. So 3 strikeouts in the inning for Kershaw in the bottom of the fifth. Now to the top of the sixth, Bartolo Colon in to relieve Maty, who had been pinch hit for in the bottom half of the fifth. But here in the top of the sixth, Colon would strike out Puig. Ellis then popped out. Andre Ethier then pinch hit for Royano, and he struck out. So 2 strikeouts for Bartolo Colon in the top of the sixth. So now to the bottom of the sixth, Kershaw still on the mound for Los Angeles. Ethier in left field. Granderson would strike out, Wright would strike out, and Murphy flew out as Kershaw set down the side in order in the bottom of the sixth. We were headed to the top of the seventh. Colon would fly out Kershaw at the beginning of the inning as Kershaw was still in there. They decided not to pinch hit for him in the top of the seventh. Hernandez then got a single, but then Kendrick grounded into a double play. So now the 7th inning stretch and into the bottom of the 7th is Kershaw still on the mound for Los Angeles as he has had postseason troubles in the 7th inning. But here he was against Yoenis Cespedes, and Cespedes reached on an infield single down the third base line. Kershaw went to grab it, but he was not able to get Cespedes as he didn't even make a throw on the play as he was not able to scoop up the ball. But instead of things falling apart, Kershaw kept his cool. He got Denard to fly out. Duda then flied out. And then Flores grounded out. So he set down the next 3 in order, and Cespedes was left on first. So Kershaw gets through the 7th inning, and he was very excited about that as the Dodgers still with that 2-run lead heading to the top of the 8th. Tyler Clippard now on the mound in relief of Colon. He set down the side in order as he got Gonzalez to foul out, Turner flied out, and Seager fouled out. So now on to the bottom of the 8th. Chris Hatcher into pitch for Los Angeles as Kershaw was done after 7 strong innings with just 1 earned run off that solo shot by Murphy. But here in the bottom of the 8th, we now had Seager in at third, Rollins at short. Conforto would pinch hit for the Guards, and he would fly out. Johnson then pinch hit for Clippard, and he struck out. Now Granderson walked, and now Jansen would come in to relieve Hatcher. Granderson stole second base, and then Wright walked, so now you had 2 on, 2 out for Murphy, with the chance he was representing the go-ahead run, the tying run on base, and Murphy flew out. So Murphy flies out, and we were headed to the top of the 9th. Yuri's Familia was on the mound now for the Mets. Cespedes in center, Conforto to left. Now Familia would face Puig. He got him to ground out, and then Ellis flew out, and Ethier flew out, and that would do it for the top of the 9th as Familia sets down the side in order. So now to the bottom of the 9th, Kenley Jansen on the mound for the Dodgers, as the Dodgers are 3 outs away from evening up this series at 2 games apiece and forcing a Game 5. And the first batter, Cespedes, would strike out. Denard struck out, and then Duda flew out as Jansen sets down the side in order in the 9th, picks up the save, and the Dodgers even up this series at 2 games apiece, winning 3-1. And Kershaw finally gets the win in the postseason after being 0-5 in his last 5 starts. And what a performance by Clayton Kershaw. 8 strikeouts in this game, just 1 earned run off of that home run by Murphy. He only allowed 3 hits in the game and 1 walk as well in 7 innings pitched. Hatcher pitched 2/3 of an inning, not allowing any earned runs or any hits. He walked 1 batter, struck out 1, and then Jansen came in for the final 4 outs. He got the save. He did not allow any runs or hits. He walked 1 batter and struck out 2. And for the Mets, Maty's pitched 5 innings, allowing 3 earned runs off of 6 hits. 2 walks, he did strike out 4. Bartolo Colon, 2 innings pitched, no earned runs, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. Clippard, 1 inning pitched, no earned runs, no hits. And Familia, 1 inning pitched, no earned runs, no hits as well. So it's quite the pitching duel, but Kershaw was really in control. A very dominant performance by Clayton Kershaw. The one mistake he really made was that home run he allowed in the 4th to Murphy. Other than that, there was only 2 other hits in the entire game by the Mets, and that was Cespedes and Lagares who got those 2 hits. And for the Dodgers, they only had the 7 hits, but they strung them together, especially in the 3rd inning there, and that's where they scored all 3 of their runs. It was actually kind of familiar of the other evening when they went up 3-0, but instead of the game just getting totally out of control with Kershaw on the mound, they kept it to no runs except for that home run. And then, it was a low-scoring game as both teams got some excellent pitching, especially out of the bullpen of New York. And overall, for the Dodgers, an excellent effort from Kershaw, Hatcher, and Jansen. But Kershaw with the big win, especially here in the postseason, getting through 7 innings, something that he had struggled to do even earlier in this series in Game 1 and going back to last year against the Cardinals, as he got blown up in a couple of in a couple of 7 innings in that series. But here he comes through even after that first hit by Cespedes, that little, small hit down the line. He tried to field it, wasn't able to, but he didn't lose his cool. He kept his cool. He set the next 3 batters down, and he got through the inning. And that was huge for the Dodgers. So the Dodgers headed back to Los Angeles for Game 5 with this victory. And Hernandez 2 for 4 in the game. Kendrick 1 for 4. Gonzalez 1 for 4 with an RBI. Justin Turner 1 for 3 with an RBI. That RBI double there in the 3rd. A huge, double. A huge hit right there. Driving in those 2 runs, the 2 go-ahead runs. Well, actually, they were already in the lead. It was the run for the Mets didn't come until the next inning, but they ended up being the 2 runs that made the difference overall, even though they had scored the run earlier with Gonzalez as he drove in Hernandez just moments earlier before Turner brought in Gonzalez and Kendrick. But what a game for the Dodgers. He said quite the dominant pitching performance by Clayton Kershaw, getting that monkey off his back. and showing that he can actually do it in the postseason. He's been a very dominant pitcher throughout the regular season. Now they got Zach Greinke going for Game 5. He's been pretty dominant as well. So it's going to be quite the game in Los Angeles. But the Dodgers stay alive. They avoid elimination. The series even up at 2-2. And now you got to think that the momentum has shifted back to Los Angeles. That's where Game 5 is. The Mets had a chance to close this one out. But we'll see what happens. Anything can happen in baseball. And it does every single time they take the diamond. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Definitely interested to reach your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. Hope you had a good day and had a good weekend. Enjoyed all the sports.